Okay, I call the budget workshop meeting to order. Would you stand for the pledge tonight? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The roll call. Councilwoman Anowen,
Present.
Councilwoman Hagen Depew, Councilman Paddock,
Here.
Councilman Hewitt,
Here.
Supervisor Baden, here. Sorry, we're not in alphabetical order. Also present is Highway Superintendent Jeff Fry. Okay, before we get into the budget, we have one resolution that town attorney emailed all of you yesterday. Yes, yesterday. This is regarding the Hidden Forest Manufactured Housing Park. Adam, Aaron, Mary Lou, Jerry, and Will Farrell met there with the owners and their attorney, and I think the park manager, and did a walkthrough of the park. And I'm going to turn it over to Aaron and Adam to give a quick report. I had another meeting I had to attend, so I was unable to be there. So thank you two for being there. Let me just let you guys report to Chris and I what you saw.
Yeah, it was a nice day. We took a walk around the main, the road of the manufactured housing park. I think what we observed was a nice neighborhood. There were some trees that needed to come down for health and safety reasons. The other issues that had been outstanding, the road, the condition of the road, and other trees had been taken care of by the time that we were there. So we felt that we're hearing that they'd already had an arborist identify additional trees that they had already moved. We did a walkthrough and added, under the advisement of Jerry and Will, there were two more that they thought pose a safety risk. And the manager and the owner agreed to have that taken care of. So we thought it best to cancel or postpone the hearing because it seemed like the main issues had been addressed.
Is the road paved or gravel?
It's paved.
Yeah,
And
it is paved. And I drove through, not this past weekend, but the weekend before on the Friday evening. It was just getting dark, but there were not the potholes that Jerry had witnessed in April and in July. I had not been through there in several months, and I had gone through back when Jerry first reported this to us, and it was pretty bad. And clearly, Jerry appears to be according to him, he's satisfied with the road now. They've identified 4 more trees that need to come down. 2 they had already had marked, and they marked 2 more. So Mary Lou's advisement is that we postpone the hearing at this time, see if the work gets done, and then Jerry give us a report back next month as to what his advisement is. So so this is the resolution upon advisement of the code enforcement officer and attorney for the town of Rochester Town Board postpones without date of schedule the hearing scheduled to be held Wednesday, October 27th at 6:30 p.m. at the Harold Lifton Community Center, 15 Tobacco Road, Accord, New York, 12404. on the matter of Hidden Forest MHP LLC, permit to operate a manufactured housing park located at 19 Medicahunts Road, Accord, New York, 12404. Number 2, the town reserves the right to convene the hearing by resolution at a future date. Number 3, the town board further directs the attorney for the town to write a letter to the attorney representing Hidden Forest MHP LLC, advising that the hearing will not take place, but that the town reserves the right to reschedule the hearing. Number 4, the town board further directs the town supervisor to write a letter to the park residents to be delivered to each residence by the constabulary, indicating the postponement of the hearing.
I'll make that.
Okay, I have a second.
1 second.
Okay, so Aaron and Adam.
And then just one note on that is just as part of the discussion, we did discuss the letter to the residents because, you know, we had previously sent all the residents notice, letting them know about the hearing. And one of the things we discussed was as part of the letter that Supervisor Baden write, that we say that we feel that the issues, we feel confident that this will come to a resolution.
In the follow-up letter?
Yes,
Nice.
so that the residents feel reassured by that.
Were the holes patched or did they?
Yeah,
do a hole?
they were cold patched and but again, I didn't see anything that anybody was gonna fall into or anything with you know, for service vehicles. Everyone seems satisfied with that. But you know, it's a mobile home park in the middle of the woods and there are, you know, old growth trees out there. And you know, Jerry gave us an education on you know, on tree species and their longevity and you know, their likelihood of falling on somebody's house. And, you know, for somebody who's had clients that have had trees crash through their trailers, it's no joke. So, but everybody was very open-minded and willing to come to a resolution. I think one of the problems that they'd run into was the original arborist or tree service that the mobile home park owner had contracted with, went crazy in there, wanted to take out like dozens of trees to the tunes of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And all of us were in agreement that that was unnecessary. So it was, you know, like I said, it was amicable, but you know, a handful that really do need to come down, but it should be something that, you know, they take a look maybe on an annual basis, just to make sure that, you know, something hasn't changed or moved or, you know, something doesn't need to be done annually.
That permit is renewable on a yearly basis. So Jerry has to do an annual inspection, and that was what sort of, and this triggered this is, well, he had been through earlier in the year and he did a drive-through in April and was just astounded at the situation. And so.
And one thing, I know we want to be quick, but as you were talking, Adam, about the education we got, just even for the public and for the board to know, one of the things Jerry pointed out is a healthy, alive tree can also fall in a storm. And recently one had hit a property, like a deck. And it was a totally healthy tree and he knew that. So the importance of taking out these really tall, dead and dying trees is actually, it's very important to the health, safety and welfare of the residents in that park. So that made me feel like this is very important.
Well,
That inspection and noting what needs to come down and keeping an eye on it and being on top of it.
I can confirm that from my woods, which are nowhere near my house, but in some of those windstorms, I've had trees, healthy trees uprooted that are just, you know, the roots are not real good. And as soon as they get a little soaked with all that rain we had in July, just a slight breeze just gets those trees rocking enough, and one tree coming down can take down 10 more. And that's really where
we did learn about tree root deaths by species. So, you know, like be careful with the pines. All right?
oh yeah, oh yeah, yep, absolutely. So, okay, any other discussion? If not, I'll call the vote. All in favor?
I
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Okay, moving on to budget. I have a paper copy here. But before, I'd like to kind of go a little bit out of order and not just start with the beginning tonight, but the board doesn't mind. I'd like to start with talking about insurance. We had, last week, we approved the health insurance, the dental plan we
Right.
wanted. I took the time to run the numbers, and the one thing I neglected to have us do, we approved the plan. What we didn't do is approve the percentage of coverage and how we were going to offer the coverage. So we had talked initially about 50% paid by the employee, 50% by the town. I ran these numbers. So the first page would be the green column is the weekly payment that the employee would contribute at a 25% contribution rate. And that's pretty reasonable. I also, the retirees who are on the MVP, well, it's not MVP Gold anymore, but whatever the new plan name is, would not need it because they already have some degree of dental coverage through that. We do have 2 retirees who are don't qualify for that plan yet because they have not reached 65. I figured we would offer it to them. They may or may not want to take it. If you look at page 1 and page 2, that is based on the current enrollees or the people that I believe will be enrolled starting in December. And the total cost and then the page 3 and 4 are the cost of doing that fund. I'm bringing this to your attention for 2 reasons. One is I think we can probably afford to do that. We pay 75% and they pay 25%. It's not a sizable difference. At that rate, we would pay for the general fund, we pay about $6,000 and we would take in about $2,000. So we'd only pay $4,000 for the dental coverage for the general fund, and the highway would be about $7,900, and it would take in $1,650. So it'll be about $4,000 for the general, about $6,000 for the highway. So it will cost the town about $10,000 net for the dental plan. I think it's reasonable to only ask them to pay 25%. We already, next right now that we pay for the health insurance is 20%. So to ask them to pay 50, I know it's a low cost program, but I just wanted to bounce it out there. Then a secondary part, we had talked about it allowing all employees over halftime to participate. There's only 4 employees that are in that range. There's actually 5, but 1 is covered under his veterans insurance and would not need it, he told me. So I calculated it all based as singles. I don't know if they would want to take family or not, but essentially it would cost the town to offer it to all those employees an additional $1,670 for general, and actually highway wouldn't change because all 4 employees are in the general fund. So it would cost us an extra $1,670, and we would get back an additional $400 of that. So basically, it would cost us like $1,200 to offer them health insurance, dental insurance. So the total to offer the dental to all our employees greater than halftime would be about $11,000. So I have already calculated it into the budget here. We got a little gift today. I got a letter in the mail that tells us our projected retirement costs for next year. I'm not buying it because it's $40,000 less than this year, and it's an estimate. But I did take 20,000 of it off, I split the difference, and then, so we basically have a little bit more money now. The way, where we sit right now, as we speak, is we are $4,084 in our projected budget over where we are this year. And we haven't even started looking at general funds. So I'm guessing once we go through it, we can probably get some budget cuts. And that's including this proposal. So if we were to not offer it to them, we'd actually be under budget. So that's the first part. It got me thinking, what if we offered health insurance to those 4 people? That's another story. That comes out to about $40,000 more in cost of the town. It's about $10,000 a person with, once they pay their percentage of it.
That's with them paying 20.
The 20%. Yeah, I wouldn't make them pay more than what the rest of the, I wouldn't think it would be fair to make them pay. And I don't, quite frankly, I don't think they would take it if they had to pay 50% of it. It's well, you can see for a single person, the plan costs us about $14,000 a year per person, for a single person. So they would pay 20% of, they would pay about 2,000 of it. So,
Why, just out of curiosity, what prompted us to think about adding those 4 people?
my mind,
Okay.
quite literally, I was like, well, I wonder what the numbers are.
Mhm.
And I ran them. And I didn't include them because when I ran them, I saw how high they
Yeah.
were. But I think when I said, well, we're going to offer the dental, let me see what the difference is.
Mhm.
When I realized it was only 4 people, I thought it was more. When I realized it was only 4, I thought, well, let me look into it. But I wanted to. So 3 things I'd like us to decide. One is what the percentage that the people who are on the insurance program, what their percentage should be for the dental. The second question would be, should we offer it to the additional employees? And then the third question is, should we consider offering health insurance to others? So, we could do a higher percentage to them, but I just don't think it's cost effective. I don't think that, if they have to pay $7,000 a year for health insurance, they probably can get cheaper on the market.
Mhm.
And I'm guessing most of them probably have something already available through the market. So,
Well, I feel we talked previously about including the part-time people in the dental plan. So I feel like, why not on
do you
that
think the
one?
25% versus the 50 seems reasonable?
I mean, I think that sounds great if I'm an employee, like, and look, I mean, I think it's so few, it's 4 people to change it.
Yeah,
I think it should be the same.
and it's not a sizable cost. It's 10,000 between 2 funds.
That's
which,
what,
yeah,
that's what I think.
10,000 may sound like a large number, but 10,000 out of a $4.5 million budget is a relatively small percentage.
I like the 75% because we've been trying to get people paid better and having better jobs with the town.
Well, and what this is the equivalent of a raise in pay too, to be honest. If you the cost of the program per year for us, is basically $6,000 but it's about an $8 a week increase in pay. It's not huge, but
I mean, the nice thing about offering benefits, either in lieu of pay or in addition to pay increases is they tend to have a different value, aesthetic value. When you say, wow, look what my employer's done for me. If you gave somebody an $8 raise, it might go even unnoticed, whereas if when you provide benefits, it's usually appreciated.
Right.
you know.
Something just occurred to me, and I need to check it with Minnie though, because the MVP health insurance already covers kids under 18 for dental. So some of the people that are signed up in the family plan, if their kids are under 18, they may not even need to sign up for the family plan. They might be able to sign up just for the
Single.
single or the single spouse to cover, you know, the husband and wife. And if the kids are already covered, I'll check what the comparison is, because if there's no reason for them to have double coverage. That only affects 3 people. It's not a lot.
And like, why is Leanne Warren in this column and the yellow column?
She does the FSA, which is the flexible spending account. All our employees are eligible to sign up for the flexible spending account, whether you are in the health insurance plan or not. I put her in there as a placeholder just because the FSA is the current people that are in it. I don't know if she will renew or not renew in December, but
We should probably not use employees' names when we're talking about their plans.
Sure.
That's
So,
But the, never mind, I was thinking about something else.
yeah.
but were you gonna ask about the health insurance, like the regular health insurance?
No, I
think
was
we
thinking,
can
I was
run it
thinking
for
about the flex spending
Oh, okay.
and about using it for deductibles, but I don't think you can.
No, you can.
Can you?
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
because and again, you know, just taking a look, you know, you're talking $40 a week for most folks is, you know, is a couple $1,000s a year. Again, you know, we should really do a nice education this year on the $2,000 in tax-free savings that these folks are.
Many does. I'll be honest, the flexible spending is they just don't take advantage of it.
Yeah.
The ones that do use it.
But you gotta think on $2,000 at 20%,
Yeah.
it's another $400 or $500 take home putting in somebody's pocket, you know, by not using that account. And that's if you didn't do anything else like eyeglasses or prescriptions. If you were just able to use the FSA for, you know, weekly health insurance and dental insurance deductibles, you know.
Yeah, it can be used against deductibles, and it can also be used because in the health insurance, we pay the first 40% and the last 40%, and the employee is responsible for the middle 20 of the high deductible.
Yeah.
And that, I can tell you from experience, that 20%, when you hit that bridge,
Yeah.
if one of your providers submits a bill and you're in that 20%, they pull it. It's seamless. You don't even see it. It just
Yeah.
comes out of your FSA and you get an email that tells you, we just used your FSA.
Mhm.
So I experienced that personally 2 years ago.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
When you gave the figure for 14,000 per year for the insurance cost per individual,
Yep.
that includes the copay.
yes, so if
Okay.
you look at the general funds, the premium and the copay. Now, I will say, we only budget at the copay is if the full 80% was used.
And we do that split thing.
And plus we I budget assuming that the average employee is going to use 60% instead of 80%. Some use up the whole thing, some only hit the first 40. Some hit the first 40 and then use up their 20 and then get into their next 40.
Yeah.
But I find 60 is a good percentage for budgetary, so we're not budgeting another $10,000 or $15,000 that we're likely not going to spend. So that's why that 22,464 is there under the 37,440. That's 60% of that is how I arrive at that number. Sorry, this is my little formula.
Yeah, no, I
results.
was just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
I was just doing the math
yeah.
on like what that would be.
So it's, but the 10,295.40 is what the employee pays 25% of. And then the 3120 It's actually, the 3120 is the 80%. The copay, do you remember what the copay is? I don't remember.
For the guys,
Yeah, for a single.
I think it's 30.
I think 3120 is 80% of the full copay. So it's another 600 and,
Yeah, I didn't bring, I had that, I looked. to
yeah,
the-
I just don't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the 3120 is the portion that the town's responsible for.
Okay. But the 10,
Actually, I know it is because it's 1560 and 1560. And then it's
right,
and then the middle is 520.
okay.
Yeah.
But so the 10,295, that's the total, or that's what only the
No, that's just
80%?
the premium.
Oh, okay.
That's the premium is, if you look at the first page, the rate, the 857.95
Mhm.
times 12 months comes out to the 10,295.40.
Okay,
And that's what we pay for a single individual for health insurance. And then the $30 is for them to be in that plan. We have to pay $250 a month times 12, which comes out to the $30. So this covers all the costs to the town of the health insurance plan. Took me a couple of years to figure this out, but so now when I'm plugging in the number in the budget, it's an exact number
Mhm,
to the dollar.
mhm. Right,
And it's worst case scenario. And that's why the premium and the $30 are given. The copay is flexible depending on the utilization of it. So that's why I budget that at 60% of the 80%,
Mhm.
which is assuming that the average person will use it about 50%. And that's, some people never use it. We have people who have health insurance who have never filed a single claim. We have other people who use the whole plan and more.
Mhm.
So,
That's how insurance works. It's the
Yeah.
law of large numbers, distribution of risk over a large group of people.
right. And this,
Spoken
I
like
mean,
a true insurance man.
I was just, I like the idea of offering health insurance to a part-time employees. I did just like do the math,
Mhm.
and it is a significant benefit compared to the pay. So it's that they'd be getting every week. It's about half of what.
The big question, I'd like to answer is would you give that position a $10,000 annual raise?
Right, that's what I'm, getting
And the,
at.
and the answer is probably no.
Yeah. I was just curious and I ran, in my head, I ran the numbers. Excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't silence this. Yeah, I admit I had a little sticker shock when I came up with and I should have known based on the cost, but it just, until I saw the numbers in reality, it didn't jump off the paper at me. So,
Mhm.
so we probably should do a resolution. So the resolution would be to offer dental coverage to all employees and family members.
We're doing all employees who have a regular scheduled.
It was halftime and
Yep,
more.
to all employees and family members. We can actually say scheduled for greater than 20, let's say 28 hours a week,
Right.
because all of them are greater than 28. Who are scheduled, are regularly scheduled.
Right.
Would that include the transfer station?
Yes.
Yep,
But not the constables who
right,
sometimes work like 5 hours a month.
Yeah.
yeah, at 28
Almost
hours
all our state employees.
Yeah.
or county
per week
employees.
or greater.
Where's these guys?
Um,
You know?
And then,
Not
the one thing
consistent.
I would like to
Very.
add is that we will not offer the buyout for health, for dental. They either take it or they don't take it.
Oh,
So
Good
there'll be
heads
no
up.
there's
buyout
no
offer.
got it.
Um,
That sounds fine.
Yeah, how do we make that clear? Does it have to be documented?
We'll do it in the resolution and we'll state it. There will be no, dental insurance will not be,
Subject to the buyout.
yeah, will not be subject to a buyout.
Is that Kate?
Yeah. Writing it down.
I'll read it back since I was writing as a, so this is the resolution. The Town of Rochester Town Board offers dental coverage, let's say for the 12/1/21 to 11/30/22 insurance period.
Mhm, mhm.
That way, if we want to change our mind next year, we can. To all employees and family members. Or actually, we'll just say to all employees. No, we do need to say, and actually, to all employees who are regularly scheduled at 28 hours per week or greater. Family or spouse coverage will also be offered.
There you go. When you say other family members, sounds like grandparents.
Well, and it also
aunts and
sounds like
uncles,
the
huh?
family members are working 28 hours. Family or spouse will also be offered.
Family and spousal plans.
Employees will pay 25% of the premium, the monthly premium. Okay, now we'll read it again. Resolution. The Town of Rochester Town Board offers dental coverage for the December 1st, 2021 through 11/30/2022 insurance period to all employees who are regularly scheduled at 25 hours per week or greater. Family or spousal plan will also be offered. Employees will pay 25% of the monthly premium. Dental insurance will not be subject to the buyout.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Aaron, second by Chris. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay. Sorry, Kate. Should be trying to take that off the tape later. Okay, so now moving forward. Now that we've done health insurance. Jeff kind of wanted to talk a little bit more about the transfer station hours.
Okay.
So why don't I turn it over to
Yeah,
you?
we've been kicking it around. I know we had talked about it before. And Mike and I talked about it the other day of possibly taking maybe like a Monday or possibly that Thursday. And most likely probably Monday, I think we discussed.
Yeah, doing a 4-hour.
Doing a 4-hour day. 7 to or 7:30 to, whatever, 7, if they want to come in at 7, if they want to make it 7:30, 8 o'clock. But do a 4-hour day on that Monday. That way it gives people that have, been up, let's say, been up for the weekend, can't go to the transfer station on Sunday. Maybe they're headed home on Monday. Hey, I'll go to the transfer station, get rid of my garbage on my way, instead of having to wait till the following weekend. Try to do it on a Saturday. Many of them, we find that a lot of the Thursdays are mostly the local people. A a lot of the people that you get that come up for the weekend come on, maybe come in there on a Saturday, but obviously if they have garbage to get rid of on their way home on Monday, they have no way to do that. And then it gets left behind. This way, they have the incentive that they can get rid of it on Monday. And like I said, it doesn't have to be open more than 4 hours. And maybe do it as like a little bit of like we did on Thursdays with a little bit of a pilot program to see how successful it is.
The other thing I was thinking after we talked is maybe only do it part of the year. Don't
Right.
do it during
Right.
the winter,
Right,
because the winter, we're probably not gonna get that much business.
correct.
But maybe run it from, whatever we figured the months are, 7
Yes.
months, 8 months out of the year, and don't do it November, December, January, February. We could run the numbers, it would essentially add about $200 a week. So, I mean, we're literally talking.
They do it half a year, it's, 5,000, 5,400, whatever, 5,600.
Yeah.
Because that would be 32 hours scheduled for the employees.
No, they're scheduled 32 right now. That
Oh.
would take them to 36.
Oh,
36 hours.
Still wouldn't make them full-time because they're in an 8-hour day position. So they would,
I see.
they're in an 8-hour day because they're an 8-hour day work week. So their full-time is 40.
Oh, I didn't know it worked like that.
Yes, yeah. And see, this would also, during that 4-hour period on
There's
Monday,
a water cooler right here if you need some water. Okay.
No, I need to get fresh.
that 4-hour window would also give them the opportunity on that Monday, that if they weren't that busy to tidy up
Yes.
and do things that they normally couldn't do on their
Right.
normal hours of operation.
So,
And it would still be less than what we were because we're operating with 3 people instead of 4. So.
But, I mean, I like this idea. I think I brought it up.
Yes,
because
you did,
I
actually.
had
Yes.
spoken to one of the employees.
Well, they brought it up,
actually
they brought it
not-
up to
yeah.
us
Yeah,
yesterday. and
they brought it
said,
up to me, so I brought it up
"Well,
here
yes."
and,
It's not really my idea either. It's them. I remember you mentioned it and
Yeah.
Justin and them had mentioned it.
I think we discussed this at our last meeting that we talked about this. I
Yep.
don't remember.
Yep.
Is then that would mean for the weeks that we're doing that they don't have 2 days off in a row.
Right, which they're fine with.
They are.
They're
Okay,
fine with that.
all right.
Yes, because it was actually the employees.
They
that
recommended
brought
the
it up
4
again.
hours. Actually, he
Yeah.
said 8 to 1, and I said, well, why don't we just do 8 to 12, 4-hour.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes
Okay.
more sense.
but you said this wouldn't be 12 months a year. What are you thinking, 9 months a year?
Well, we
7
could
months a
budget
year?
for it and we could start it, I don't know, March 1st, we can look at the calendar and figure when we want to start it. But we could basically run it March or even start at April 1st for that matter.
Mhm.
April, May, June, July, August,
Through
September,
So it's about a
October.
full 52
7.
weeks.
It'd be 7, it would be a little bit more than half the year, but probably 30 weeks.
Mhm.
So, I mean, we're
During our
talking.
busy tourist season, our,
Right,
our.
I also, it
plus-
won't just be the weekenders, so it'll be a lot of locals.
Oh, it
take
will be.
advantage of it.
Yeah,
I'm not
coming on
saying
there,
that.
I would go. on Monday
Absolutely.
morning.
it's another
my
opportunity.
day
They're
off.
finding a
Yes.
lot of the people are
That's true,
coming
too.
Tuesday, Thursday, so they don't have to fight with the crowds on the weekend.
Right,
Correct.
That, how many people are, have Mondays off, whether it's,
Exactly.
restaurant workers or
Yes.
hairstylists and things.
Yeah, I mean, they
Um,
started the conversation with, what do you think about Monday instead of Thursday? And then it was like, well, maybe we only did.
During that stretch though, how many holiday Mondays do we have? During
not all that
you
many,
got Labor Day,
actually.
Memorial Day, if you got a 4th of July.
Yeah,
the Monday or
the only
Friday.
real ones are Labor Day, Memorial Day. Because if it's April, you're not gonna have
Yeah.
Martin Luther King or President's Day. And the rest of the holidays, it depends on when they fall.
Yeah.
so we would just, I think Adam's just pointing out, we need to budget for that because then
Well, they would get paid for
they
that
would
day.
get
but-
paid for
but
that
I'm
day.
planning
You'd be open-
on
you'd be open on a
saying that
holiday?
they're gonna work, oh yeah, they would still be paid for, if they're scheduled to work
If you're
on
scheduled to work
a
on a
and the
holiday,
holiday falls
you
that
get
day,
holiday
they get
pay.
paid for that.
so
I was
right
thinking it
now
would
they
cost
don't get a
less.
lot of, they don't get a lot of holiday pay because we're not open on Mondays.
But again, you think about all those, holiday Mondays where you're cleaning up and doing yard work and around the house. It'd be nice to be able
Absolutely.
to,
So, hey, I can
after-
run to the transfer.
after a
station.
busy Sunday, cleaning out the shed. you know?
Yeah, well, we would, if they worked that day, then we'd have to pay them double. So, but
we're open on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
I think it's an idea. We could put it in the budget and then work through the rest of the budget, see where we are. And if we think we overshot, then we can always go back.
I like it. I like the idea. I think it makes logical sense. I also like that it came from the staff,
Mhm.
that they brought it
Mm-hmm.
to us because they're the ones that are there watching the patterns,
Mhm.
saying, hey, I think a Monday morning would actually help with some of this.
Yeah.
And many years
Congestion.
ago, they were open on Mondays, many moons
Hmm.
ago, and then chose to. And it was very popular. Many people after the weekends rushed in there on a Monday. So I think it would.
It'll add $5,760, and that's budgeting for 30 weeks.
Mhm.
So we'll figure out what those time frame is, but so yeah. So I'm gonna have to actually think, I've got to separate it out though. Let me just see. I'm trying to remember how we had it broken out. Each individual is its own one, is their own line, I think. The general environment section, yeah, each one is its own. So we would be adding 64.
How are the guys
times
doing?
30.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Very good.
$1,920 to each person, so that would be 28.
You would have at least 2 double time days though, right?
No, because they wouldn't necessarily work on the holiday. If they don't work on
Okay.
the holiday, it's not a double time.
They're just getting
They're
paid.
just getting paid for the day.
Oh.
We'd be
I
closed.
gotcha.
We'll
Because
be closed, but
the
they're
town
getting
offices are
paid.
closed on those holidays.
So it would be closed, so.
It'd be closed. They would get paid for the day
for
as if
4
they
hours.
worked
Okay.
for the 4 hours, because that's what they would have been scheduled.
Gotcha.
So,
So it's the
Fair.
same.
yeah, so it's 28, 1,
You
28.
got me looking at Mondays. 2022.
I know, like what holiday?
There's a Columbus Day, I think.
There's Columbus, yep,
Yeah,
Columbus
Indigenous
Day.
peoples. we call
Indigenous
it,
people.
Except in the union contract.
right?
Okay. I can
At tax day of the 19th.
literally tell you to the minute what that just did to us. So now we went up. Right now, we're over this year's current budget by $10,285 or 0.53%. However, we are still at a negative tax because of the increased assessed value of the town. We're at a negative 1.55%. So we are in great shape where we're starting from, and we'll endeavor to go through the general fund and see where we get to. Wanted to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
Just
you're gonna
basic.
want to look at page,
No more department heads visiting.
because we're so limited on time this year for the budget, we have one less meeting. I sort of put the question out if anybody wanted a particular department. What I've done is in the budget, I've included their ask.
Mhm, I saw that.
I have the copies of their paperwork. I emailed most of them to you guys today, so you can actually see them. But I wasn't planning on it, because when they come, it takes a whole meeting for a department kind of, or a couple departments. So I wasn't planning on it unless you guys somebody said, I really want to talk to such and such a department. It
Unless
just-
you need me, I'm
Nope.
going to head out. Thank you for your time. I
Thanks,
wanted
Jeff.
to sit on the insurance and the
Yeah.
transfer
Nope.
station, but
Great.
We're good.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
folks.
Jeff.
Thank you.
have a
The
good
rest,
night.
the rest is a good time too. You sure you want to stay?
God, I hiked them. I'll probably regret it when I get home. Be good.
So since Jeff isn't here when we get to his salary.
Oh, maybe I better stay.
Go ahead.
That That's where we'll find the extra money.
That's where we'll cut that 10,000.
Folks, have a good night.
Good night, Jeff. Remember to call Tony about that Clay Hill hangar.
Oh, not to worry, I won't forget.
Please, thank you.
Okay, well, we'll start with the very first thing, which is page. Summaries.
16? Is that what you?
I believe 16 is it. Yep,
All right.
councilperson. Appropriate, we start with board member salaries.
Mhm.
So I've basically done $180 a year increase, which is, if you divide it by 12, it's a
2%.
$15 a year increase. So everybody happy with that?
It's
Not
for
doing it
me.
for the money.
Yeah.
It's not- Yeah,
Very-
You know, just to let you know, some towns pay like 10 and 12,000 to board members. We have never paid that much. I've tried to bring it up now. It's basically right now, it's, what did I figure out? It's, you could actually figure out a weekly now. It's to the point that it is a weekly divisor. It's $120 a week is what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Don't divide it out by the hour.
No, don't divide it up by the hour. Definitely don't divide the supervisor by the hour, but, so that's what it is. It's 120 a week. Personally, I wish it could be more, but I think that's where it is and that's where it's been.
Very fair.
I am not budgeting again for the equipment for the tablets. I hope that in November, December, I can get them ordered. So we have them to start next year with the 2,000 that's included in this year's budget. That's my goal. If we don't, that money will be there in fund balance and we can always buy it and take it out of fund balance. So we've carried it over now 2 or 3 years and I'm determined to do it this year. Professional services, we spent more this year than usual. That was the appraisal for state time, a couple other things, but I'm putting we were 500 last year. I'm going to put 1,000 in the budget line. There's no specific need for it, but it's you know,
Things tend to come up.
things come up. So the miscellaneous, as we always do, 0. The notices of advertising, we're a little higher this year because in the beginning, we had to notice every single COVID meeting, Zoom meeting. That's stopped for the moment. So I upped this from 750 to 1,000 for the year. We're probably going to spend this year probably in the neighborhood of around 1,500. So we were at 912 at the end of August. So education conference, holding at the 1,500. We didn't spend any this year because everything's been by Zoom. I just got the notice of the new elected official school in January, which is also by Zoom, and they're only charging, I think, $50 or $75 a person for it. So
Is that a 2-day? thing again, or
it's a
3-day?
2-day.
Yeah.
No, it's a 2. It's not the 2.5 that it was
Yeah.
when we went. Doing it by Zoom, it's a 2-day. They are holding their usual New York City conference in February, President's Day weekend. We've never gone to it. I personally think it's, unless people pay their own hotel, it's a waste of money. You get I shouldn't say that. You get a lot of classwork in, but it's costly to the town. And you can get the same amount of work other places.
We typically don't talk about council person board training opportunities. I know we're on the planning board. There was always something that was.
I share them when I get them. Actually,
Yeah.
B and Tim and I just took the advanced accounting class today.
Oh, there you go.
At 6 hours of numbers on Zoom, and tomorrow all over again.
Ouch.
So what do I do for fun tonight? I come to a budget meeting. So,
But then I'm the one not taking advantage of it because, like
Yeah.
I said,
there's a fair amount of out there. There's been a lot, but there's a lot of in the day, hour webinars, and that's kind of the problem. There are all these, there's been a lot of free webinars, but they're all during the day.
Yeah.
And unless you're sitting there at a computer screen and have an hour or 2 hours free, it's hard to do it.
Gotcha.
But I try to share them when I see them and when I get the comptroller's office is really good. Their office of training schedules a lot of these, and the same with the Association of Towns. They do a lot too.
You went to that training, right? Association of Towns early on.
Yeah, it was the new,
Yeah, the new
yeah, which was
elected
excellent.
officials.
We got to do that in person.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but if they have it again next year.
you went to the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we actually all have gone. B and I went the first time, and Cindy went that time because she had never been offered to go.
Mhm.
And then last time, 2 years ago, Adam and Aaron and I went. Yeah, every time you go, we commuted each day back and forth.
Yeah,
The
to
first
Albany.
time we all stayed at but it was a Albany hotel price, not a New York City hotel price. It was a lot more reasonable.
Like to get to that one again, though, even the new one, I think in context after a couple of years. in, it would make a lot
Well,
more
actually,
sense.
in December, I'm gonna ask the board members, it's who wants to go, because now being online, it's only $75 a person, so it's and it's 2 full days.
Yep, thanks.
Okay,
So,
your mileage, I think.
yep, mileage, upped it a little, not knowing the gas has gone up considerably, so I doubled it from 100 to 200. I don't charge mileage. I don't know if any of the board members will or won't, but I wanted to be prepared in case in case somebody goes somewhere and needs mileage reimbursed. Post from the board is not much. Most things go out under the supervisor's account. Municipal court, the justices, I have done a $480 increase, which is, if somebody wanted to do the math, unfortunately, I forgot to do the spreadsheet.
2.5%.
No, it's more than that, 3 something, because they were at 15,276.
415. 276 by
Just under
15.
2%.
15.
Should be more than that.
Yeah. I did it in my head.
No, Mike's right. It's almost.
Yeah, it's over 3.
Yeah, it's almost 4.
Yeah, it's 3
I did the same. in my head, came
something.
with the same
It's a $40 a month increase. And they're paid on a monthly basis, so that's why I kept it divisible by 12, easily divisible by 12, but it's about a
3.1.
yeah, a little
High.
over 3% increase. I tried to do most 3% increase. I think actually the town board is 180. Yeah, that's a 3% increase too. So, and both judges are the same. Our clerk to justice, if you wanted to do the math on those, the 28 weeks plus 200 hours, you can figure out the rate of pay. It looks like it's a decrease because they flip-flopped. The previous clerk to justice 1 was the longer tenured person, and she's the one who left and moved to another state. So that's why there's a decrease in her line and an increase in the other one. But
It's a net decrease of 1,000.
it's a net decrease actually of
Twelve.
about 2,600.
Is that much?
But let me find my calculator and sorry, I should have had these available. So it's 30222 divided by, it's 20 hours a week, that's 52 weeks plus 200 hour fortnights. It's It's $18.25 an hour for the second justice. Justice one is that's the clerk to Justice Laflamme, and Justice two is clerk to Justice Shaheen.
Gotcha.
And
And
that's the one who's been here longer.
Mhm.
it's one-
Justice Shaheen obviously is not running again, so the new justice will be picking their court clerk. If they don't retain the same person, then obviously the rate would go down with a new starting person. I'm assuming they will probably retain the same person. So that rate of pay is $19.50 an hour. The security officers, those are the ones that are there 9 to 4, Monday through Thursday. That's the 28 hours a week. I figured that on an average of $15 an hour. I am going to propose that we're raising the constable rates to 15 an hour, and for the starting, and then the ones that have attained the 520. I would have to go back and look at my notes. I think I had 15, 50, 16. I'm sorry, but I basically figured that out as an average of 15 an hour. They're currently doing 13 something, 13.50, I believe. The court officers, we estimate 9 hours a week for court dates. Equipment, the justices, by the way, did not turn in a budget, so a lot of this is just my estimates. Last year, they had asked for $500 for our research books. They did not purchase any this year, so I put 500 back in the budget line. Supplies and materials, we've spent less. Well, no, we started out with a budget of 100. They spent more, so I put 400 in this year. Office supplies, we had budgeted 1,000. They spent 187, so I went down 500. Professional services, I maintained at 100. The prosecutors went up a little bit. The prosecutor has not raised. We have been having longer court nights and more court nights. We've been sometimes having court a couple days a week, still playing catch up from COVID. So I increased that to 7,000. Stenographers was a one-shot deal that we needed one time, and I took that out. The PO box, I'm not sure why it was separate in this. We have a separate line for PO boxes. I merged the court one into the general postage line. There was no reason for it to be separated out. Education conference, in the past, we have not budgeted enough because these are like 3-day conferences they go to. We will have a new justice one way or the other, and that justice may or may not be an attorney who may need to do some additional training. That is mandatory. So I've upped the budget on that to 2,500 for this year because we may have some additional expenses. The mileage is the mileage to get to those conferences, trainings. And postage, I upped a little bit. They have a postage machine that we basically put about $100 a month on, but it's not quite every month that we need to. We tend to do it between 10 and 11 times a year, so that's where the 1,100 comes from. Supervisor, I have put in a raise for the supervisor to match the town clerk. I'll let the board decide whether they think that's appropriate or not. In my opinion, and I guess, you know, the time commitment is certainly no different, if not more, by the supervisor than the clerk. I've never understood quite why the supervisor got so much less than the clerk.
It was my understanding, talking to the clerk, that at one point the supervisor's position was a part-time position.
Very long time ago.
Yeah,
It has
but
not been part-time in quite some time.
But the compensation has never been reflective of the full-time status. The other thing is, I would say, coming from the private sector, that any executive that manages, 30 to 50 people, as a $4.5 million budget, and manages $1 billion worth of assets, needs to be paid more than minimum wage. Personal opinion.
I also did a little bit
It's
of research.
it's $950 a week, what that equates to, just so you know. The current is $750, so it is a $200 a week raise.
I was starting to look at what council members get around Ulster County and the state, and 6,000 is very low. And so in the future, you might want to consider upping that as well.
We could go up a little higher if you'd like. It's your call.
You could do more research, maybe. I don't want to decide because I won't have a salary, but it affects you guys next year.
I think that it should be structured like a full-time job also. So I think,
Supervisor?
I'm talking about the
Yeah.
supervisor. And I think matching the clerk pay is totally fair, but this does not include the budget officer type,
Correct.
which is also.
Correct. There's a stipend for the budget officer, just like the clerk gets a stipend for tax collector and vital statistics. So
Are those comparable?
they're close. The tax collector is probably a 7 to 8 month a year heavy lift. The other 4 months of the year are not much. So an officer is a monthly, a daily, actually.
Why is that one broken out?
The budget officer?
Yeah,
The supervisor is the budget officer by title, by law.
Right.
However, they can delegate somebody else who is not a board member to be the budget officer. It's always been broken out. Some towns, I won't say most, many towns break it out. Because it's the supervisor, just like the town clerk in our town by law is the tax collector. The tax collector is a little unique. Some towns actually have an elected tax collector, a
Mhm.
separate person. Our town chose somewhere along the way, and I couldn't tell you when, to combine those two into one. But it's always been broken out. I don't know why. It's like I said, some towns do, some towns just include it in their budget. Some towns, the budget officer is not the supervisor. The supervisor delegates it to somebody else.
do you feel that if we did have to delegate that, if the board ever did delegate it to someone else, that the ratio of pay is correct? You see
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
believe
asking?
so, because
Okay.
it's been the same. I'm not proposing a change in that this year. In past years, we've raised the supervisor a little bit, we've raised the budget officer a little bit. The last 3 years, we've kept it the same at 7,280. And it's 150 a week.
Right. Well, that's, I guess what I'm asking is if we had to pay someone for that, would that cover that
No.
position?
If you had to pay somebody for that position, you would have to pay more. Because if somebody, unless it was another person already employed by the town who was then possibly doing the job.
Mhm.
If it's a stipend, nobody's gonna take a job for $150 a week,
Right.
unless it's a part-time job. But I will tell you, it's with all the new rules and laws that continue to exist and all the changes in accounting, it is a daily job. The amount of time of the budget officer, escalates at certain times of the month, the end of the month, obviously, and the beginning of the month. The middle of the month, it's less, but there's not a day that goes by that Tim and I aren't doing something with the budget,
Right.
aren't checking something, aren't updating something, and,
Right.
so.
Yeah, the question I'm asking is I'm like looking at the supervisor, the tentative budget supervisor salary and thinking about the budget officer and how
Mhm.
much I know you spend on the
Mhm.
budget. I was just wondering if that ratio is right or if it.
I think it being one job, I think it is correct.
Mhm.
If it weren't one job,
Then it would, you wouldn't be able to get somebody.
the
to do
current
it.
is 750, 150, so it's about, it's a 5-to-1 ratio right now, dead on. So essentially, if I really did work a 35-hour week, which is not anywhere near the case, but if I were to, it would be a
Right,
5-to-1 ratio. By upping the supervisor salary, it's gonna change a little bit. Obviously, now it's 950 to 150. So now it's a 1-to-6.
Yeah.
Something ratio. But it seemed to match, and that is with the clerk getting a raise. It's matching what I'm proposing for the clerk for this year. It's not matching, so. But that was the thought behind it. So I just, clearly, I'm not, it's an awkward position to talk about your
I'm
own.
in favor of moving forward on it right now.
Yeah, okay. The bookkeeper to the supervisor, we've upped that position to a 40-hour week. I'm proposing $1 an hour raise from 20 to 21. That position wears, as you all know, about 4 hats: bookkeeper, secretary, confidential secretary, the supervisor. Also does all the HR and all the purchasing. And copy machine repair, although now that we have the new copy machine, not anymore.
yeah,
We have very happy people with the Xerox machines gone.
I've
Yeah.
heard. So the amended budget, that's with the new pay increase that we did. And then the tentative budget, that's
Yes.
with $1 an hour
Yes.
raise. And if
The
that,
amended budget was the budget that the change that we made for our previous person back in February, we made a
Right.
change.
and that also, we had like a stipend that got removed somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah,
Well, when we get down to purchasing, I am going to, in addition to the $21 an hour, I'm going to propose a $40 a week, basically a $1 an hour stipend for purchasing. But we'll get to that in a minute.
and hypothetically,
Mhm.
if this were a different person, they
Mhm.
would start out at the first rate, like
Yes.
the same as the court
Yes.
clerks, because this is at the,
Yes,
Okay.
so, but bear in mind, this person is probably doing a significant amount of work.
oh, yeah, I'm not
Uh,
meaning,
And in many towns, this job is
Yeah.
split over 2
Yeah, yeah.
or 3 people.
Mhm.
So
totally,
that's why I feel okay with, it's a 5% raise from what they're making now. From 20 to 21 an hour.
To Aaron's point, if we ever had to replace this position in the future though, or this person in the future, they would go back down to the clerk rate, correct?
Well, possibly. See, what I am going to put together, and I have not had time to put it together, to present to you with the final budget when we arrive at that. I'm going to put together Adam and I discussed it greatly, a pay schedule idea. I don't think this job would ever be at the clerk's rate, because
Right.
this job is, by nature of the bookkeeper, is much more than just a clerk.
Right.
They would possibly go down to a lower rate, yes. What I'm going to propose, though, is based on the job categories, whether they are a main clerk, an assistant clerk, a laborer. These are just examples. There'll be a starting rate of pay, and we will ramp up. In my mind, we'll ramp up quickly in the beginning and then level off. So we will reward people in the beginning for learning their job, staying. They will get greater, not percentages, but they will get like a flat rate of everybody. Like, for example, I haven't fully fleshed it out, but from year 1 to year 2, you'll get $1 an hour raise. And then from year 2 to year 3, then you'll shift into the percentage raise that everybody else is in. But don't want to use the word reward, but the people that are coming in will be getting,
So if a person stays in that job, they're gonna continue to get raises or theoretically raises year over year, where if we had to replace that person.
it would go back to whatever, but bear in mind that, if somebody starts in 2012 and then they start in 21, well, there's obviously a change in the starting rate too.
Yep.
And that's how we got into trouble, because we had people that started 15 years ago and were just getting 3% or 2% raises all along. And then we started new people at reasonable rates, but they were so close to each other that's when you set up that dichotomy. Is you've got people just starting, and people who've been there for 15 years only making $1 or 50 cents more an hour than the one person
Yeah.
just starting. But you can't start that new person at the same rate. And if you give this other person, a 10% raise, well, then everybody's all up in arms. So
Yeah.
That's why I want to do it with this sort of slowly moving thing where you go up, you ramp up in the beginning and then you kind of level off the longer you're there. It's just my thought of, you can all weigh in on it, but that's my concept anyway at this point.
Well, again, having a schedule, like I said, for tonight's discussion, fair enough. Sounds
Yeah.
good.
And I apologize, I didn't get it down on paper
Not yet. That's
before this meeting tonight. The clerk part-time has been a placeholder that we put in at one time. I'm gonna kind of leave it there as just a reminder that someday we may need, because part of the problem is currently for that bookkeeper, secretary, the supervisor, there is zero backup.
Mhm.
So essentially I'm the backup. So. And that works, but only to a point. Office supplies, we haven't spent near what we spent in the past. We're more thrifty, I guess, so I went down from 1,000 to 600.
Colored pens.
The professional services is, what did I put that in there for? I can't remember what I put that in there for.
Is that web?
Oh, no, professional services. I am still holding on to the hope that I can talk you guys into a payroll company. I have a lot of documentation as to why it's good from our accountant. I will share all that with you. That 8,000 is a placeholder right now for a payroll company. It may be a little high. You remember we did get those 2 quotes from 2 different companies. I did try to reach out to some local companies, Chris, and to be honest, their prices were way over these prices. I also, Tim and I reached out to Williamson Law, which is the software that our town clerk uses. They have a software program, they have a payroll program. They got us a quote and we politely said, thank you, but no thanks. It was like sick. I don't remember, astronomical compared to this price. I'd like to leave it there and let you guys contemplate it some more. I think there's an advantage to having a payroll company. We kind of do things HR wise a little haphazard and puts an awful lot of responsibility on the bookkeeper, and things will be much more seamless with a payroll company. So I'll just leave it at that.
And the next line that is increased to 13
The accountant
grand.
is increased from 11 to 13 because the second thing is I would like to move away from the enhanced business system software that the town has used for a long time. It is a small operation out of Albany area. It is written specifically for municipalities, but when you call with problems, you either have to get the owner or his son on the phone. Our accountant for a number of years has recommended we transition to Quickbooks. They can set it up for us. So it will save them time, which will save us money in their compilation of the annual update document. Because right now, they have to pour it into our computer, they have to pull all the data off, and then while we do have the same budget codes and everything, it's still very time consuming for them to run all these numbers and compile the correct categories, whereas they work with QuickBooks all the time. And so they have recommended this for the last 2 years, and we kind of have fought it. But I think it's time to.
My question is, with a payroll company, would our accounting be reduced in expense at all?
No, because the accounting is not really an accountant. What the accountant really does for us is they produce that annual update document. We call them the accounting firm, but we don't deal with them much other than to answer questions for us during the course of the year. We only deal with them pretty much from February through May while they do the AUD.
Okay.
They would probably become a little bit more involved, so I upped it, not knowing exactly. They would also sell us the license for QuickBooks through their license, which is considerably cheaper than if we were to buy it on the open market. But the 11,000 it's always been a placeholder. Like this year, our bill for them was $97.50. I'm guessing maybe next year our bill, the software would not come out of that 13,000, by the way. The software would come out of software, but I'm guessing the bill probably would be in the neighborhood of 11. I just upped it by 2,000, thinking that they will have to have some initial setup of the QuickBooks. So,
Can I just go back to the payroll services?
yep.
The question I'm thinking of is currently that's the bookkeeper, secretary to the supervisor is doing all that, right?
Yeah, and we would still compile it.
Okay,
We would still compile it and send it to them. The difference is, right now, he compiles it all, then he cuts the checks, then he has to run reports. And Enhanced does payroll, but not very well.
Mhm.
And now, I know B's not here tonight. B has said that QuickBooks does payroll. Our accounting firm says it does not do it well.
Hmm.
They recommend that if you go to QuickBooks, that you definitely go to a payroll company. Enhanced Business has an add-on that does payroll, but then he has to run the report. We then have to issue checks for Social Security every week, for union dues every week, for various, we have to cut a number of different checks. That would go away. He wouldn't have to do all that. He would just send them the weekly payroll report, and they would send it back to us. Now, the two companies, the difference between the two, the one, if you want paper checks instead of direct deposit, there's an extra. The one, like nickel and dimed us with extra fees.
Yeah, it was like $1 if they wanted a
Yeah.
paper check.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
50 more cents if they have an FSO.
And then the other one, the larger company, I don't really want to use names now, but the larger company of the two, they would, things are more a generic price. Plus they were the ones who offered all kinds of rebates and things. And he told me that what they offered back 3 months ago, may not be available, but there would probably be others that were.
Yeah, I guess you had said that that the not doing the payroll, like the payroll is a lot of pressure for the person doing it on
Yes,
staff.
it's not
So-
just pressure,
or
it's a lot
It's
of,
a
it takes close to a full day to deal with everything with payroll.
so my what I'm getting at is with that gone,
Mhm.
we're giving a pay increase and all that. I'm just asking, with
Yep.
that gone, are we gonna see the value of that?
Oh, absolutely. We'll
Day.
get more things accomplished that now we just keep kicking down the road,
It probably prevents us from adding a clerk line item too.
probably
Because
does.
it'll ease the
Probably
burden.
does.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will
This
say,
placeholder
Right.
we're paying 40 hours a week. We're getting more than 40 hours a week. And I don't mean just in work, I mean in actual hours. you know, lunch is not usually an hour, your lunch is usually 40 minutes, and he comes in at 7:30 and leaves at 4:30. He's usually still there at 20 to 5, quarter to 5. We're probably getting 42 to 45 hours a week of
Mhm,
work.
mhm.
So,
And then also that the payroll services includes all the
Yep.
paper, you know,
Yep.
all of that.
Yep.
So that's, it's not just straight up labor that we're paying for. There's
Yeah.
other things included. in
and,
that.
and many towns use payroll companies. I kind of asked around. Rosendale does not, but Rosendale has a separate bookkeeper. And they have 3 employees doing the work that are one.
I was gonna say, it also takes away the liability and reduces the liability.
Yep.
Because that payroll company, just like a legal team or the HR department, takes on all the responsibility.
Now,
if
we
it-
are still
for
the
taxes
employer
or-
of record, though. Some
That's-
payroll companies, they take on the employer of record
Mhm.
as well. In this case,
Mhm.
they do not. Plus, he has worked with both payroll companies in his former career, both of the 2 that I've suggested.
I just did the math. If it is a day a week, like we're getting the value of that,
Oh, yeah.
of just that.
Yeah,
That's like
And I
giving
think that
someone
it-
an extra day of
And I
work a
believe
week.
that 8,000 is gonna be high. I think at
Yeah.
the end of the day, based
But-
on the initial.
If that was a separate thing, it would cost that much for one person,
So if
just their
the
wages.
board would like, I mean, we can wait until we adopt the budget. Or I could contact the 2 companies again and ask them to give us a revised proposal.
Yeah, that makes sense, because, I don't know, if we have the opportunity to put in an actual price rather than an estimate,
Yeah.
And if it is a little less,
Yeah,
then
it's a little less.
it gets us.
Okay, let me reach out to them and ask them if they can get us a revised proposal for the November meeting, not for the October 28th, but for the November meeting, which is the night we hold the public hearing. We're allowed to make changes to the budget after the public hearing before we adopt our final. So if we get a new number and come to an agreement, plus if we were to award a bid that night or a quote, and this, at this amount, it requires 2, under our procurement policy, it's 2 quotes. And if the board is okay, I'm just gonna go back to those 2 companies.
Yeah.
Rather than,
and what do you think about getting an idea of whether there's a QuickBooks training on that 13,000?
let me try to get a real number from the accountant on the cost of the change over to QuickBooks, because I can use that 9750 as an example. I mean, as a starting point.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for
Good
coming.
evening.
We'll be back.
All right.
Please come visit us
have
anytime.
a-
This is not a normal meeting where we just sit around and talk numbers, but
We have a workshop meeting next Thursday.
yeah.
Those are a lively discussion of lots of town issues.
Yeah.
So,
That's the 28th,
28.
Yeah.
Yep.
6:30.
Yes.
Yep.
That one is at 6.
But
we
20th.
start auditing the
We start auditing the
bills,
bills.
And we start the meeting when we're
And
done
we start the
auditing.
meeting, yeah.
Okay.
The meeting will probably start about 6:30.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll find out a realistic idea from them on the accountant, so. The miscellaneous, I put in 0. I put in 0 on public notices advertising because it's really the money is coming. Actually, I can even remove that line because it's 0 all the way across. And you know, what? I'm gonna leave it just in case. Usually a public notice is coming out under the town board's account because it's a town board notice of advertising. Education and conference, I've left it at 1,000. Mileage, I've put it at 200, and I don't plan on starting to charge for mileage, but if I go to Albany or something for trainings, I probably will ask for, at least for the tolls back. Postage, I'm holding tight at the 1,800. I mean 800, excuse me. The auditor line, that does not need to exist anymore. The accountant, we have moved the accountant to the supervisor line. I had moved it to auditor, and then our accountant informed me that because they're not really an auditor, they're preparing a professional service for us, that it should be under the supervisor's line. With the QuickBooks, we will no longer need to pay somebody to reconcile our books. I have confirmed that the bookkeeper, because the bookkeeper does not sign the checks, the bookkeeper can do the reconciliation. So we will save that. That's another savings. We've used this one person for a very long time who is a subcontractor who comes in. And that 1389.38 there is like one quarter of the year. The price has gone up considerably. And we also end up working on their schedule as opposed to ours, because they are this person who does accounting and taxes for a lot of other people. So, which is why we aren't even reconciled right now through June, because she hasn't come in.
So the change over to QuickBooks will eliminate that expense?
Yep,
Nice.
yep. So the change over to QuickBooks will remove that expense, so it'll pay for itself right there, because
Easily, especially. if
And
it's a quarter's worth.
the extra time that we just used up, that, that will become one of the jobs of the bookkeeper to do the reconciliation.
Mhm.
So,
Aye.
Aye.
okay. The tax collector, I put in at 3,900, which is half of the budget officer, based on the fact that it is approximately a 6-month intensive job. I will point out that the request was it is a $750 increase. What was asked for was only a $50 increase, and I think it should be more than that. It's a $75 a week stipend that is paid year round, but from November through March for sure, and then even in April and May, the clerk's office is slammed.
Yeah.
At May, they turn over all the unpaid
Right.
taxes to the county, and their job lessens somewhat.
I'm just so like perplexed by these breakouts, because I'm just as a
Yeah.
like idea that like, because I know they're like just like full-time working on tax collection
Right. as
in
their
that
salary.
office, and
Yeah.
And
but
then it's
all-
like-
it's part of the job. It's just recognizing that, and the reason it's broken out is because it is a separate budget line service.
Mhm.
And they could all be combined into, but because it's always been this way, if you were to combine them all into the salary, it would look like it's massive salary increases, to be honest.
Mhm.
But I have proposed, it's like I said, it's a $750 increase, so it's a pretty sizable increase. What was asked for was 50.
I would also think that we're taking into consideration that we have a new assessor that probably is gonna need our tax collectors' help on a more regular basis.
They actually, not so much. You would think there's more interaction than there is, because, I mean, there's interaction between the clerk's office and the assessor, but it's the town clerk's office. The assessor doesn't, it goes to Kingston and back to the clerk's tax collector.
Okay.
So the assessor assesses the property and then passes on the information to Kingston. And then Kingston takes our budget and calculates the taxes and prepares the tax bills and then sends them to the clerk. What our staff does though is they go through and they save us a lot of money, because every time there's multiple, it comes in one envelope per tax bill. And they go through and combine any that they can to same owners.
Mhm.
And it saves us the equivalent of one stamp on every one they can combine.
Yep.
There's a number of them in our town.
Did you mention 700 over the department request to that person? And how was that received?
I did not.
Okay.
I don't know if she saw it when I made it, but and my rationale is that it is much like I upped the supervisor to the court job, I'm kind of upping this to the budget officer's job in that I believe it's a 6-month intensive job. Like the budget officer is a year-round intensive job.
Mhm.
So that's why I made it half of what, but that was my rationale of going to that number. We can certainly talk more next meeting when
Okay, and
Jane is
ask,
here.
Mhm.
yeah, that's a good. idea.
Yeah,
And I may skip the tax, well, if we have any questions, we can bring them up to her next with the tax collector, so. I mean, the town clerk, I'm sorry. Equipment, she is asking for one, a calculator that is a specialized type of calculator. She's requesting, she did supply the quote of $60. So I've included that in for equipment.
It seems like a very specific request for this budget.
Yeah.
Whereas I
um,
thought maybe office supplies.
Yeah, well, she had asked for, last year or this year, she had asked for it. Actually, that calculator is split half to tax collector and half to town clerk, now I remember.
Okay.
So it's actually $120. It's a specific type of calculator with, I can't remember exactly what it was. I could find the request, but
It does sign and cosign.
no, it's more than that. It's something to do with the tax. Well, if the board wants me to take the time to find it, I can.
No,
but I think
We
yeah,
believe
I
it. I
apologize.
believe
No,
it's a
just stood out
very
a little bit.
special calculator.
Yeah, the printer, she is looking to purchase before the end of the year, and that was split $250. And that's to have, even though we have the copy machine, they would like to have for printing receipts of tax bills and things, have a small printer right there in their office. Because the copy machine, at their choice, was moved out of their office down into the main area. But having a small printer there that they can just print receipts from will help them considerably. So
Nice.
that's why the printer, and she does plan on, I asked her if she wanted to carry it over, and she does plan on ordering one before the end of the year. We're spending a little more on office supplies, so I upped us to the amended budget of $750. That was the ask as well. The tax collector really only has one note a year to do for advertising, basically advertising that the warrant has been received. That costs usually between $50 to $60. So we've always budgeted 100, but I brought it down to what we're actually paying versus the. She said there was nothing particular for education for the tax collector. It's more rolled up into the clerk's job. So she did not ask for anything there. And the postage, I went with what she asked for, and that's based on the rising cost of postage. And so far, you'll see I made a few changes, but so far the requests were pretty reasonable. Officer, we've already talked about that. It's $7,800. Back in 2020, it was 73. It was, I think, like 7,500 or 7,300, something like that. It was back in 2018. It was 6,000. So, but it's been the same now for 21, and it will be the same for next year as well. No equipment asked for. The $2,000 is again a placeholder in the software there, and that is the cost of the
QuickBooks.
QuickBooks. That may be high. I will find out exactly what the initial cost of the program and the annual license will be, because we will have to continue to pay an annual license on it. Purchasing. We had, for a little while, did a stipend to the former secretary, bookkeeper. And when she left, we ended it and rolled it all in. I've put it back in. That's a $40 a week stipend, which, as I said, is $1 an hour for the 40 hours work week.
What is that in addition to?
That's in addition to the supervisor assistants. the 21 an hour. So what that would do is go essentially make it 22 an hour. If the board doesn't think that's reasonable, I'm willing to take it back out. Purchasing is an awful lot of the job. But I'm on the fence about this one. I put it in for discussion.
Mhm.
I think the raise might be enough in itself, so.
Yeah, I'm just wondering about I'm thinking about this as an employer, which I should be, but I mean, as someone who employs people.
Mhm.
That like that if we go with the payroll,
Mhm.
I think I'm like, if we don't go with a payroll company, then I might want to leave in this.
Okay.
If we do go with payroll company, then I might want to take this out.
Let
Does
me
that
go
make
to-
sense to
let-
everybody?
I was thinking the exact
Okay.
same
Let
thing.
me go to 0 for now. I put it in as a placeholder in case we didn't go with the payroll company, because I'll be honest, I wasn't sure I was gonna sell you guys on it, so
Yeah.
I kind of left us both options, so we'll do that. That's
And it
fine.
could be revisited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
The assessor, the contract that we signed with the new assessor, the 33,330, what I list as department request is what is the 2% increase that is called for in the contract that we signed with him. The contract says a minimum of a 2% increase. Because we're giving many of our employees, essentially most of our employees, if not all, are getting at least 3% increase. I wanted to do a little bit more. So the budgeted amount is not a good representation because that's not what we're paying our new assessor. That's what Mike was making. I'd have to go back and look at the contract to tell you what exactly our assessor is getting. It's the 33,330 minus 2% is what he's getting, but I upped it a little bit more to the 33,592, just a little bit more than 2%. I didn't feel right doing a 2% for him, and everybody else is getting a little more. So
Looks good.
and then our assessor field worker, being that we are working with a 20-hour-a-week assessor, I know we had talked about, do we really need a full-time person? I talked to Jeremy. He's on the fence. His opinion was a minimum of 28 hours. Because he's only there 20. Right now, Mike Dunham is filling that seat. So we have a very experienced person there. But Mike will be leaving us the end, right before Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
He's finally said, thank you, but I want to go retire.
Yeah.
So I've kept it the same as the 35 hours a week, and I've put that salary in there. The rate of pay would be sorry,
This position exists already?
yes,
Field work?
17.50 an hour. And the current rate of pay is,
And Mike, forgive me though, because this is the position that was currently filled by the person that's out on
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
on disability. But
person that is currently not working, but we do need to fill it with somebody. If that person is not able to come back, we will need to fill it with a temporary.
okay,
Right.
so this position right now is being filled by not only our former assessor, but we're also hours from one of our clerks as well. Is that right?
Not anymore.
Not
Not
anymore.
anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
She's, when Jeremy came in, or when the new assessor came in, we stopped that. Because when Mike is now, our former assessor is doing
Okay.
20 hours a week contractually with us as a independent worker.
Gotcha.
He's basically working for us as a consultant.
Mhm.
And we are getting absolutely double duty because he's training as well as doing the job.
Yeah.
it's worked out well. One comes in the morning, they overlap each other by an hour or so. One does the morning, one does the afternoon. Jeremy has been having a bunch of training classes recently. So sometimes he comes in the afternoon, sometimes he comes in the morning. But there's always about an hour of overlap between the two, and observing the interaction is great because there's a lot of training going on.
Mhm.
And I will say I'm very happy with the choice we've made. He's ran with it. Everything is right there. He's got some ideas for changes. He's got some software. You'll see as we get down. He's got some software he'd like to buy. He wanted to spend all of about $40 on this special digital camera that he had in his former job that he liked. We found it on Amazon, but unfortunately, it's hard for us to buy things on Amazon because of the tax. So we sourced it out somewhere else. It was like $3 more. But
I
but
don't know that about Amazon. It's difficult to not have them charge tax.
it's almost impossible.
And that's what I was finding for my organization. We were fighting it. And
They don't
stonewall us.
Amazon tells you you have to deal directly with the vendor
Mm.
and get your refund back directly from the vendor. Or if you pay with a credit card, you then have to go to your credit card company and get it back from them. Amazon will not deal with you as a non-taxable entity
Interesting.
directly.
Thanks.
And it's just beyond frustrating. So
Yeah.
whenever somebody sends me a cut sheet of, oh, I found this on Amazon, I just sort of bang my head against the wall and go, great, let's find it somewhere else.
Mhm.
Because as you know, we're not allowed to pay tax, so.
Yeah.
I will tell you the current of the assistant is 1660, which I believe is a little bit low, which is why I'm looking at to 1750.
Looks good.
Yep.
So. And it keeps it in line with assistant clerks are in that $17 to $18 range. So everybody's sort of in the same place. Okay. Equipment, he has not asked for, actually, why did I not carry it over?
So you declined it.
I don't know why I did that. That is clearly a mistake, so I'm gonna add that back in.
Do you remember what that is for?
I don't think it was for anything in particular, and maybe because when I asked him, oh, you know what? Now I know why, because he said really what he was looking for was software. And he did get me an approximate quote of between $500 and $600. And I see what I did. I took it out of the equipment and put it down in software. Because software is not really equipment. Equipment is more durable, good kind of thing. So that's why I changed it to 0. The office supplies I've left the same. It varies. We go through a lot of printer cartridges for their printers. They're printing a lot of maps. The Board of Assessment Review, continue to pay them the $300 per person. The software is the software that, what it is a drawing program that works specifically with the assessor program.
Right.
Our county, the Orange County system, the county system where he is coming from had one built into their program. Our Ulster County RPS system is what we use, and it does not have a drawing program in it. And he would really like to have this drawing program. It's helpful for sketching dimensions and things of houses. So he said he was a little surprised at the lack of information in many of the records. The lack of detailed information. It's not that there's information missing, but it's that the detail is not there. So that's why he wanted the camera. There's many of our records, there was no picture of the structure. You know, it never has been. So his goal is to get caught up on all that.
Cool.
Public notices advertising, they usually have to do a couple times a year, so that's where the 115 comes from. Previous assessor never charged us mileage. He indicated that he probably would. He does live in our town, but when the assessor, we used to have that little Chevy car that was a 2005
Yeah.
that we sold for $100 or whatever we sold it
Frame rotted
for.
out, yeah.
Yeah. They used to use that, go out on sites, so he's using his own personal vehicle. So that's where we will probably have some mileage. He estimated 1,000. I cut it down to 750. Now the gas prices have shot back up. I'm almost inclined to go back to the 1,000. I think if the board's okay,
1,000 is.
I'm not sure they're gonna go back down in the near future.
Do we pay for gas or do we pay by the mile?
Pay mileage.
Yeah, which doesn't vary based on gas prices.
Yeah, we use the IRS rate,
Yeah,
whatever
so
the IRS
57
rate is. at
cents or
that-
whatever.
Well, it's whatever it is at that moment, yeah. We could provide gas through the town gas tanks,
Rather pay
but
the mileage.
yeah, because then we gotta, if he's
Pay
using his
ourselves
person-
back and-
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets complicated.
Mhm.
We pay a little more this way, but in the long run, we probably pay the same amount.
For accounting purposes, it's more elegant,
Thank you.
just.
Um,
plus it'll
Chris,
connect
you missed
QuickBooks.
one. I had cut the mileage for the assessor because he's gonna use his own vehicle.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I took it back up to the 1,000. Okay. He had asked for 1,000. I cut it to 750, but now I've watched gas prices go back
Okay,
up.
yeah.
and So. Postage, we previously were at 1,800, but that was a little high. So I'm going down to 1,100. We're not having to mail out as much either because with COVID, the state took over a lot of the notices for the I apologize, my brain is a blank here tonight.
Star?
No, not Star, the other, the tax, like the exemptions.
Okay.
The state is sending out a lot more direct to people. And they're dealing direct with the state, not so much with us for a lot of the exemptions. So we don't have to send out as many letters. Town clerk, I raised it 450 from the ask, and that's, again, that matches, that's $950 a week, the same as the supervisor. It is a $1,872 increase for the year. So, the first deputy clerk, it was requested by our clerk to pay $19.50 an hour. I believe that to be a reasonable request. The second deputy clerk, we had originally asked for more. That's the position where we have a new person who just started. Although bear in mind, the second deputy clerk is also the highway secretary, so there is a significant job there. So currently, we're paying 17 while training. She's going to go to 17.50 once she assumes the position in a couple weeks, and I'm upping it to 18, and that was discussed with Kate and approved.
That's why it goes down a little bit.
That's why it's down a little, because it was previously budgeted at 19 if the previous person had stayed. Kate feels that that's acceptable. And then the third deputy clerk is the one that we have assigned currently to code enforcement. And I believe, if I remember right, that's a 17.50.
That's what we did more recently.
Yeah. And that's kind of trying to keep in line with, like, that's the same rate as the assessor's aid. I'm trying to make comparability of job requirements.
Mhm.
The first deputy clerk obviously is there and to step in if the clerk is not there, they have a greater responsibility. The second deputy has the highway additional work. And then the third deputy clerk is assisting in the code enforcement. But let me just double check that. I believe it. $17, excuse me, not $17.50. That's the position that currently is making, I believe, 16, I think. We gave a raise on that recently. Oh, the other thing is, so that position is currently 28 hours a week.
I was just gonna say, so
And
the
I'm,
part-time.
yeah, and
next to-
actually it will be full-time. Let me make that correction. So I'm proposing it, changing it to 35-hour-a-week job. And a pay raise.
But this number stays the same, 30.
Yeah, this actually was based on changing it to full-time. I just had neglected to change it in the description from
Thank you.
part-time to full-time. The clerk would like to purchase an iPad. She priced it at $1,100. I'll obviously work with Fish to find out real price of, but just based on my own observations, that seems probably close to accurate.
Mhm. Does it have a data plan or does she need one?
She won't need one because we can connect all through the town hall wireless. Office supplies, she felt that 500 was reasonable. They were a little higher this year for some reason, but I'm not sure where. Professional services, she did not feel she needed that in there. The bank reconciliation, she uses the same person that the supervisor's office has used and would like to continue. So we've budgeted at $100 a month.
Because that won't be the.
That wouldn't be through the QuickBooks.
Okay.
That needs to stay independent. And that is done through the Williamson Law program that the clerk's office uses. What happens is the clerk's office deals with all the day-to-day revenue, transfer station, building department, code enforcement, all those come to the clerk's office. She tracks all those using the same codes that we use. And then you see the town clerk's report every month in your files. She remits a single check to the supervisor's office every month with a breakdown of what goes into what category. We're required to keep it separate like that for transparency and for security reasons. So she won't use the QuickBooks. The QuickBooks is very helpful for us
Mhm.
with what she does. It could work in QuickBooks, but she likes the Williamson Law. She's been using it for years, and it also gives her a town clerk program as well, in addition to the financial. The software, it was never really been budgeted for, and I just sort of pulled it out of wherever I could find it. That's the annual license for the Williamson Law, and it was 7 something this year. We just got the bill, which is why it's not showing in the actual.
And that's the one that didn't have
expenditure.
any increase
Yeah,
to it.
and they told us it's gonna be a 10% increase next year, so it'll be 7.7. I'm putting in 800 just in case. Education conference, she asked for 600, so I honored that. The mileage, we just kind of have always put in 200. It's one of those, you gotta have something in there in case you need it, but we very rarely need it because most people don't actually bill for mileage. Everybody's pretty good about that, but postage, we cut down a little bit. It's just, they don't send out all that much. Attorney. Our attorney will not be raising her rates next year. She will continue at this year's rates. I will be honest, we haven't seen a bill in several months, so it's a shot in the dark right now. I guessed. 'Cause
Based on last year.
Well, there's increases.
There, yeah, I mean, the number, the actual expenditure, do not think that that is, even though it says as of
Right.
8/31,
It's because we haven't seen,
it's
Yeah.
2 months. It's
Right.
2 months. Yeah, and I told her we need a bill, so. I'm hoping in October, I'm ready for a pretty big sticker shock bill when we get that bill. Town board is obviously, we're having her at all the workshop meetings. I think it's necessary, though. I think the advisement, she's advising us a lot more. We're asking a lot more questions. So I've upped the supervisor by a little bit. I've upped the town board by quite a bit. The planning board is using her a lot, and we do bill back for particular applications, but we agreed that all meetings would be paid by us, and that we would give, I believe it's 1 hour per application of initial review as part of the application fee. We could revisit that policy. She tells us that Walrsing, like, she tracks how many minutes each application is at a meeting and then bills that back to the applicant. We could revisit that and lower our costs to some degree, but I don't know.
The increase in planning makes sense. I'm not sure about the increase in the town board, though. Seems significant.
Well, we've, look at it this way, Chris, we
Mhm.
spent 5,300 in 2 months.
Yeah, it's a big number there.
That's 2,600 a month. That's kind of where I came out with that number of 30,000.
Yeah.
It's basically 2,500 a month.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just paid for an hour for her to walk around the trailer park with us.
It's, yeah, but you know, it's all important.
It was worth every penny, that's
Yeah.
for sure.
It's, and
Yeah. But just.
this is not
just like-
knocking, because we by far pay some of the lowest rates for an attorney. I mean, many other municipal attorneys, I've seen them prices online are 2 and 3 times or even greater than what we pay.
Mhm.
So I consider ourselves very lucky. We have a very knowledgeable person. I wouldn't trade our attorney for anybody, and you know,
Why did the code enforcement go down based on what we've been billed?
yeah, kind of.
Mhm.
I put the 8,000 in last year thinking we might have more, and then I looked at, what we billed this year and what we billed. Well, you aren't seeing previous years because you're only seeing totals, but
Yeah.
I was able to go back and look at actual budget lines each year. And the same with town clerk. Town clerk just, their quick email questions or their 5-minute phone conversations, and she does bill us by the 10th of an hour. So,
Okay.
or maybe even by the quarter, might be the quarter hour, but I think it's by the 10th. Yeah, it is by the 10th, because her always like, 1.1 hours or 1.4 hours. So
You want to revisit this after getting billed?
if we get a bill by the end of the month.
yeah.
That would mean we'd have to get a bill in the next 2 days.
Right.
I can email Mary Lou right now.
Just.
Looks good.
The other departments is just kind of that's 2 hours of time over the course of the year. We may use it, we may not. The bond council, I upped it a little bit. We paid a little more this year because we had more bonds that we dealt with. The other council is if in case we had to hire a labor attorney at one point
Right.
for that one.
We
It's a
had to do that
placeholder.
once.
Yep. And the miscellaneous, the reason we have the negative in the actual is that was our reimbursement from the insurance company for ZBA stuff from the
Mhm.
year prior. But we got it sort of so late in the year that that's where we were. So it's I don't deny it's a $30,000 jump, but I think it's all reasonable. Personnel, that's our $200 a month that we pay that Adam loves.
Best bill we pay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 2,400 of it. The other 800 is just a placeholder for other things that we may or may not. We actually, the labor posters that we're required to post, we found a great source for them that is much cheaper than many other places. But that comes out of that budget line. And we're required to, as you probably know, Chris, we're required to have those new ones every year.
Yeah.
Although I hope we don't have to buy a full set, because like the COVID ones didn't change any, and there were special COVID ones this year, and there's a lot of them that were the same. The education conference, I just put it in there. We are required to have some of these classes. Some of them we've done online this year instead, but it's kind of a generic placeholder just in case. The engineer, I went back to the 4,000. We had some additional costs this year from Mr. Medenbach for some reason. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Bridge.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I know what the 5959 was. That was the building condition survey.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. So I went back to the 4,000, which is a sort of our generic for just whatever we may need engineering for. And now bridge came out of highway.
Oh, right.
Elections, I have put in a $4,000 spot. If we have for the referendum vote, which is in December, we probably won't get the bill until January.
Okay.
So they estimate the bill at less than that, but I look back at the bill from the referendum in 18 and it was about $3,300.
Would we have to put in a second referendum vote for the possibility of a
Well,
second
we
vote in
don't know
20?
exactly. A, we don't know if the first one will pass, and B, we don't know exactly when that would come about.
Okay.
So
Too
I didn't-
speculative to put
I
it in there?
didn't include it. I included the 4,000 just for now because that bill will probably come. There's nothing budgeted for elections in this year's budget.
Right.
So we either have to find the money and pay the bill in December. Likely by the time we get the bill, it will be January. It may be an abstract 13, but at least then we budgeted money.
Yeah.
Okay. You said was the best money.
Our HR department.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Records management, that is the stipend that we, oh no, I'm sorry. That's not the town clerk. This is for the grant that we received for the conversion. There was a small budget line in there for $3,000, which is spread out. We paid, I'm sorry, $4,000. We paid 2,500, or we budgeted 2,500. We started spending that money in September, so you will actually see some of those payroll. This is the third deputy town clerk who was working on additional hours, boxing everything up. She will go to 35 hours a week. We can't pay her for her normal hours, but we can pay her for additional hours, which right now she's working 28. And we authorize her to work up to 12 on the records management. She's working most weeks about 6 or 7 or 8 hours a week right now. When she goes to 35, we can allow her to work an additional 5 hours a week for the second round of boxing things up. So that's what that 1,400 is for. That would only be for a short period of time though, like 2 to 3 months. And that's the logging and inventorying the records and boxing them for shipment for the data conversion, the $60,000 grant that we got from the local government records management grant. You've got a questioning look on your face.
Oh, no,
Okay.
I was actually thinking about something else.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay. The large format scanner, that's the price that was in the grant. The 7160 was the quote. Unfortunately, we just discovered that the company that gave us the quote may or may not be eligible to qualify under the MWBA requirements. So we may have to go back up for other quotes on that, but I'm hoping that we stay around that ballpark price.
There or less.
Maybe less, but that money is all funded through. This is a case where the grant has to be included in our general fund budget and will be paid out of our general fund, but all these records management expenses are paid out of the grant.
This will come back in under revenue through the grant.
There's a grant line in the revenue for 60,160 that washes this right out.
Gotcha.
There's a little bit of additional money that we'll have to pay, about 4,000 or something, but the supplies and materials, that's the boxes for shipping. We spent 1,000 so far. Kate anticipated a need for another 500. And then the 56,470 is our quote from the conversion company. Public information services. I have budgeted $8,000 for website work,
Okay,
whether it's a brand new one, whatever it may be.
I just pinged them.
Yeah.
Because they haven't sent me a quote yet, but
We also could go out and look elsewhere. We don't have to use them. We don't have to use Fish.
yeah,
We're not obligated to in any way for website. So.
Right.
But the 8,000 is my placeholder for that, for budget, for website. We need to do something.
yes.
Sounds good.
Buildings, we already went through, so we can skip that tonight. We went through that at the last meeting.
Do central garage?
No, we did not.
Okay.
So central garage, I continue to budget in hopes that we can get some type of smaller SUV kind of thing. We did budget this year. Originally, we budgeted 30,000. We used 17.7 of that to buy the new code enforcement vehicle that we hadn't planned on, but luckily we had the money in the budget. We've since borrowed some or used some of that other budget money for other items. So I'm putting 25 in instead of 30 this year as a placeholder in hopes that we can get something. Our fire inspector will no longer have the use of his fire district vehicle, which they have been kind enough to let us use. He is not going to be a deputy chief or whatever his title is. Apologies, I don't know his exact title. So he will no longer have use of that vehicle. However, he only works for us 2 days a week, and he will utilize Jerry's old vehicle, which the highway department repaired and fixed back up after the window fell out of it.
Mhm, right,
And it is completely fine to run, and he's comfortable with using it. Jeff has kind of taken it as a vehicle for him, but Jeff has no problem with us sharing it. So the 2 days a week or 3 days a week that Will needs it, he can use it. Jeff can use it the other days. But ultimately, we really need just kind of another vehicle for whatever, for sort of general use.
Where is central garage? In this town? Is it an actual garage?
No, central
think it's a
garage
line item.
means like a garage, a pool of equipment under the general fund. Central garage is the title that the state uses,
So it's non-highway related.
non-highway related. Anything that's highway department is highway equipment. Central garage is the maintenance pickup truck, the transfer station pickup truck, the code enforcement vehicle,
Cool. Thank you.
the constable cars, any vehicles or, that type of equipment that is not done by the highway. Now, our highway department, Jeff's not here, but has been kind enough to do a lot of repair and maintenance work on these vehicles for us, so we're not paying repairs like we used to. He's having his mechanic do it. He could be billing us back. He's not. We just pay for parts. So, like the transfer station vehicle, I noticed is due for inspection the end of this month. And he said, yeah, I'm gonna have Tim look it over before we send it out for inspection. It's not really used on the road much, but occasionally it is. Mostly it's just driving around the transfer station, but it's registered and insured for when it does need to be on the road.
Must not have a lot of miles on it.
No, it does, because it was that's the last, what it does is things go through the highway department and down, and then it gets passed down to the transfer station.
Okay,
We are a hand-me-down pickup truck, and so when a new one comes, we just got a new one that we ordered 2 years ago, and it finally got here
Yep.
the other day. So I believe that is the deputy's new vehicle, and things will get passed down.
gotcha.
So we will have a truck to sell next year, a pickup truck.
We don't want to keep it instead of spending 25 grand.
Let me see what kind of shape it's in. It may be time to sell it.
Okay.
Uh,
You guys good with that? 25?
Yeah, and this is not really for a pickup truck. This is more for a vehicle that the assessor can use, a
Mhm.
vehicle that the supervisor's assistant can use, a vehicle that the clerks can use if
Mhm.
they have to go somewhere.
Cool.
Instead of people using their own cars.
Okay.
That was the reason they bought that little Chevy, which we got, 18 years out of? I think we got our money's worth out of it. Supplies and materials, I cut it 100 down to 300. Kerosene, diesel, and gasoline, I upped it a little just based on higher price. Insurance, we paid 5,500 last year. I figured approximately a 9 to 10% increase. That's just on the insurance on those vehicles. That's what that insurance line is. So 6,000, I think, is probably reasonable.
If you buy this additional one up top, will you have to increase that?
Yeah, if we did,
Okay.
but
Not yet.
that would be when we buy it, then we would increase. That's why we had to up from 5,500 to 5,600 this year, because when we bought Jerry's new vehicle, the insurance on that was higher than the insurance on the old one.
Okay.
But Sprague and Colleen is really good about working. As soon as we get a new vehicle, we send them it, and they do all the paperwork and get it insured for us, and then either tell us there's a price increase or decrease, and so. If we take something off the road, they're good about getting us the check back. So, and Dwight and I just went, I know you've been talking about it, Adam. Dwight and I sat down and went through all the records of our buildings, and he's making sure he's got accurate information.
Sweet.
So, he didn't have like the correct dimensions of the new food pantry building. This building still showed this building without that addition. And we did have all the fire alarms on though, and that we got a reduction in insurance when we installed those fire alarms. We got like a $200 check back,
Nice.
something like that. I don't remember exactly. Professional services, I upped it a little bit. I went up $30. That's inspections, which are $21. So, which is why it's the bill there is 42, 2 inspections. Oil and lubricants, we haven't spent any yet. I think that's because Jeff hasn't billed me for it. And maybe he won't, but just in case. Parts, I'm keeping at the 2,000. Tires, we didn't need to buy any this year, but we may
Right.
soon, so 600 seems reasonable. Repairs, just for anything that we can't do ourselves. Simple jobs we can, brake jobs, those things, but in case it's something we need to send out, I wanted something in there. Our Easy Pass, I upped it a little bit. Easy Pass did go up slightly. So. You guys want to finish? It's 8:25. You want to finish this general government support section and then call it a night?
Sure. We have one more budget meeting?
We have one more budget meeting. We could have two more if you want to reschedule.
What date did we schedule that for?
It's our workshop meeting.
Oh,
That's
oh,
the
oh,
problem. Is we
okay.
got a lot to do that night
Okay.
too, on top of it. We could talk about it if you want to do another budget meeting next week. We really need to have the budget done by the 28th though.
20.
Good 20. Yeah.
20. What did we cover tonight? We
Well,
started at
tonight-
16 to 25. We did
We
10.
did
Tonight,
10, but we.
The
had-
general government support is the biggest section
Yeah.
of the general fund.
Mhm.
The others are much quicker.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if we're doing 10 pages a night, then we need to. But if we're gonna.
And although, remember, that's also the same night we're signing the bills and we got that's our regular workshop meeting too. So let's finish this
Yeah.
and see where we
We're,
are.
we're finishing page 25. is
Yeah,
what we're
and
saying.
when, if you guys want to go over tonight,
I mean,
my head's starting to spin.
I don't really, I'm so exhausted right
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
but
One more page.
I don't know if you can tell, I'm just adding things up
Six,
on my
six
phone.
hours of staring at a video screen of numbers
Yeah.
and laws and rules today kind of wore me down, so. Cellular phones, I upped it by 10% to 3,300. We're going to be over budget this year. We're at 2,300. It's just, I think, added prices and things that have gone up over the years. Our phone system, now that we've added this new one over here, that's going to add a little bit of cost. So I went from 13 to 14,000. Email, I put 6,000 in. We still continue to work with Fish on email transition. I don't think we're going to need the 6,000 though anymore, so I changed it to 2. I also think, I'm hoping that we can get some answers from them before the end of this year. Oh, you know what? I apologize. There's the website.
Yeah, I
I
was
was gonna
wondering, I
say,
was
it's-
like, we
Did I-
got $18,000 on our website. It's
Yeah.
gonna
Did
be
it twice?
amazing.
I very well did, I believe, unless I
Yeah,
put.
We're gonna make a significant cut tonight.
Professional
Yeah.
services under general.
Or we're gonna
government
make a
support.
really, really good
Right,
site.
do that.
You know, where was that other?
Page 23 and under
What's the
contractual,
budget code? Sorry. 'cause I'm not looking.
A 1480.440,
Okay.
or what, 8,000 for website, and then.
You know, I may have
440.
put that in there for a newsletter, but I don't think so. I think I put the website in twice.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take out the 8.
Take out the 8,
10.
leave the 10, because
Yep.
the quotes I got from some other ones were higher than 10,
Okay.
so that's actually
Do you
why I
think, should
wanted.
we up it to 12 and? to
We
be
might,
safe?
we might wanna up it
Since
to
we just
12.
cut 8, if we
Okay,
put 2 of it back, we still cut 6.
all right.
There we go.
And I heard you telling someone the other day that we were spending 8 this year. Now you can tell that person 12 instead.
Yeah.
Well, I could
You
build
need
it
it.
for a lot less, but you
Yeah.
might not
Do
like
you
it
make
as much.
websites?
Oh, I've done some, but no, I'm
Okay,
joking.
Okay.
central printing and
I don't want-
mailing.
You don't need a new
we
job.
do not need any equipment. Supplies and materials, I have dropped down from 1,500 to 1,250. Copy paper, I've cut down a little bit. The lease on our copiers, the 4,900, the 6,360 was not going to be accurate for this year. Although we did get our very nice check from Toshiba. Even though they were late on delivery because they were waiting for chips, they honored their 4 months of payment to us and sent us a check for 4 months of equivalent of Xerox.
Hmm.
And so, and we today got our last Xerox bill. And it was only for there was no usage because the month of September, we didn't use it because we got the new machine.
Nice.
And it has been delivered back to Xerox and we are done with them officially. The postage machines, I'm not sure why the number was what it was last year. I'm beginning to think though that there's numbers missing. I think there's some 493 does not seem right to me for the actual expenditure.
Mhm.
I've got to go back and look and I think some monthly bills might have been posted to the wrong account because it should be higher than that. And I set it at 1750 based on that. I don't know if I should go back up to at least to 2000.
Let's see if we can find the.
I'm gonna find where the
missing-
mistake is, because that 493 is definitely not 8 months worth of, I can guarantee you it's not 8 months worth. We're billed quarterly. So which we should have had two bills and they should have been more like 900 or 1,000. So I think this is only one bill, 1 month's bill, or one quarter's bill.
Yeah, which that 2,000, 2,500 would make more sense. then.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
how about I go up to 2,000 there?
Yeah.
And then I'll investigate more and find out. The post office boxes, that's where we pay 76, the court pays 70. I don't know why, but
Smaller box.
I don't think so. Maybe. One is in Accord, one's in Kerhonkson. I
Oh,
don't
there you
know.
go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Shorter.
It
amount,
is.
Shorter distance.
But anyway, so I merged them together at 160. The data processing, we bought a lot of computer equipment this year. I put in a placeholder of 3,000, not for any particular purchase, but assuming that we may need to purchase something along the way
Right.
in terms of computer or printer or something. Last year we budgeted 10. We did buy more computers than we considered. We did budget, I believe, in the transfer station, though, specific for a computer in their
Mhm.
line. But I think that placeholder seems reasonable. Supply materials, we haven't spent any. We budgeted 500 in the past, so I cut it down to 250. Professional services,
Sorry.
trying to think what that might be for data processing. $210.92 in expenses this year, but I don't remember what it was for. I put in 400 based on that 210.
Okay.
But I can go back and try to see what that bill was for. The IT management, we still have at least 7, if not 8 months of next year will be still under that contract. We will have to renegotiate the contract if we want to continue with Fish, because it was a 2-year contract. I budgeted the 25,000, which is the current price. Should we go up a little bit? I don't know or think that they will raise their price, but who knows? Should we add 1,000 just in case they raise their rates for the last 4 months of the year? Or should we leave it at the 25 and we can always find 1,000 somewhere else?
Mhm.
Why don't we do that? We always have the contingency line.
So leave the 25.
We'll leave it at
Yeah.
25, which is the known, the total cost for a year is 24 something.
Okay.
The software, we did plan on buying some software this year that we did not buy. We didn't really need it. So I cut us from the 8,000 to 3,000. That's like continuing licenses of our stuff. That's nothing in particular that I'm planning on purchasing.
Because most of the software that we've seen so far has actually been under a specific department, whether it's
Right,
assessor or
Right.
clerk.
This would be more like if we were to buy, right now, I have Adobe on my computer and Kate has it on her computer. Code enforcement would like to get it. I'm trying to find out if we can buy a bigger license. Right now, the license only allows you 2 users. But it's a little tricky in that it allows you 2 users at one time of use.
Mhm.
So as long as there's only 2 of us using it at any one time, we can kind of share it around, but
It's like a Netflix membership.
yeah, it's tricky. You
Is that
gotta,
Adobe Creative Suite?
no, it's the Adobe Acrobat, the
Oh.
DC,
Mhm.
the full Adobe.
Mhm.
They're creating an awful lot of fillable forms, which I love. I walked in the
Yeah.
other day and Courtney was online making fillable forms. I was like, oh, that's fabulous. Yeah, she's done an amazing job in that office.
That's
of
great.
updating our paperwork and stuff. And to her, it's really easy. So. Special items, insurance. we paid approximately 43 this year. I upped it 47. Dwight didn't seem to think we're gonna have a big increase, but he said there'll be some increase. It seems reasonable to me. Municipal association dues. I upped it a little bit, thinking that we're at 2370. There's probably gonna be something that comes up the rest of the year. So I upped it just a little bit. I gave it essentially a 10%. What did I budget for purchase of land?
No, I didn't think you had anything. Yeah.
I didn't either, but apparently I have 2,500 carrying across.
What are we gonna buy
No.
with that?
Oh, was that maybe one of the inspection or the environmental? Thinking of that?
No.
Is there an easement that we had to purchase or a,
No.
anything with the Allegorville fire hole with the property swap?
Or
or-
Jager Lane?
Yeah,
No,
Okay.
I don't know why I put that in there. I do know we've talked about sort of parking areas for the rail trail at Lucas and stuff like that, but I
Yeah.
don't think 2,500 is gonna go very far in that. But,
The,
I'm
1/12
happy to
of an
cut it
acre.
back down to zero,
Yeah.
and I'll be honest, I don't know. My mind is
What-
blank, but I have no
Look at us
idea.
finding
why
all
I
this.
What would this money be spent on?
Buying land,
Just buying land?
yeah.
Of an acre, Adam said.
at
Maybe.
current market prices,
yeah.
depending on if I had water on it or not.
I'm gonna change it to zero, and if we figure out what it was for, we can always put it back in. I honestly don't, unless it was a mistake that I've just carried over somehow.
There you go. Just paid for the dental insurance.
Yes, there you go.
Maybe that was the
Um,
land you were talking about, molars.
The judgment and claims, that is the fire tax on the solar sites. We are, as a municipality, we're exempt, or they're exempt. This is on the improvements, not the land itself, but the improvements. Under our contract, we are responsible. Obviously, school tax and town tax and county tax are exempt. Fire tax is not exempt. So the 4359 was the bill this year. I upped it to 5,000. Although, and I'm reluctant to say it too loud, we only got the bill for one property last year. The other one was shown as exempt, and I'm not sure why. So, and Mike looked at it too and said it looked right. So I'm not sure. Anyway, that, and then contingency, we've always used, well, the last few years, we've done 30,000. I left that at 30,000 for now. So let me tell you where we stand right now. The changes we made. Oh, wow. We are $205 over this year's amount of taxes. We are at a 0.01% tax increase. I think we can find $205 in the rest.
Right here
of
in
it.
this contingency.
No, we don't have to do
No,
that. We
okay.
can find.
Yeah.
And right now, we are at a.
Town
seven-
board member salary.
Exactly. We can crank it back
We'll
down.
cut that at 180.
Yeah.
We're at a $72,800 decrease in general fund taxes and a $73,005 increase in highway.
Nice.
So, and that calculates out to a minus 2.05% tax. So the average person will pay $43 less per thousand.
$43 less per thousand.
No, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
not $43 less per thousand. $43 less on 100,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, too many, carried the decimal. too
Yeah, I was
far.
getting real excited there.
Yeah, no, carried the decimal too. It's 4.3 cents per thousand, not 43.
Those decimal points
Yeah, those
get in the way of a good story.
nasty. I forgot I was reading the per thousand rate already and I converted it. So anyway,
Nice.
How about a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that.
did you want to talk about another budget meeting or is
Oh.
everybody?
It looks like each page is shorter than the rest.
Pretty much. we do really, we're gonna have to just push through that night if
We-
we're done.
We want to adopt this at our November meeting.
No, we are scheduled to have the budget public hearing at November 4th,
Okay,
which means.
we want a final
We need to
copy.
finalize it on the 28th, so I can then do the work on the 29th and get it distributed to Kate to get it out to people, so they have essentially a week
Mhm.
to look at it. before
So
public
I
hearing.
could do next Tuesday, but I made plans for the Wednesday that we just opened up
That's
already.
okay.
But that's, I think that's the only day I could do next week is next Tuesday,
Tuesday, the 26th.
if we wanted to do it.
Do you want to get off of YouTube?
This is
Well, that's
public
part of the meeting.
business.
We
Oh, I
have to
thought
do
we
a
adjourned.
resolution if we're gonna do it.
Well, we like stopped, tabled the
Tabled.
adjournment, even though I seconded it.
I can do 6:30 on Tuesday.
You want to set a meeting for next Tuesday at 6:30? I can do it as well.
Okay,
Okay.
I mean, you guys, I think it's better than going till 11 on,
Yeah, I think so
I'm getting
too.
tired.
True,
Um,
I could do Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
If
6:30
we do
we said?
6:30 to 8:30, if we do 2 hours.
Yeah.
we'll be
Yeah.
able
We'll
to-
probably knock it almost all out.
Okay.
You know, and-
Yeah.
And have to do very little on the 28th.
Yep. Because we did have some heavy lifting on that
Okay.
night anyway, right?
So, motion to set a special budget workshop meeting on Tuesday, October, what's the date?
The 26th.
26th. To be held at 6:30 PM at the Harold Lipton Community Center. And to request the town clerk circulate notice. I can spell. I'll make that motion. I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain. Okay, now Chris.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
And second by Aaron. All in favor?
Aye.
And it is 8:38. Is that what you guys have?
8:38 on the nose.
This computer is fast, and I cannot reset it.